Hi all, welcome to Tony Technology. I've got a relatively quick video today. It's all about the TTGO T-Display and the Uncanny Eyes repo set up by Adafruit that was ported by Mysterion to the TTGO display. It's all running on Arduino IDE, and I wanted to show you the process that I went through for moving this over to Platform IO, as well as a web serial upload to the display. So anyone who has one of these boards, you can upload from Chrome web browser or Microsoft Edge directly to the board without installing any tools on your PC, which I think is kind of awesome and something nice to enable for some of the more fun projects that don't really need any additional hardware. So for Halloween, I had two of these set up inside a box with a wig on top of it, and everyone really loved watching it with the eyes blinking. It ran for a good hour or two quite easily on a USB battery that I just connected up to two of the eyes, and I had both eyes in the box. So it's a cool, fun little project, and I guess we can dive right in. So if you take a look here, this is the Adafruit library, Adafruit repo that they've set up to do the Uncanny Eye. Then Mysterion kindly moved it over to use the TTGO T-Display, which I was happy to piggyback off of. And then I've ported it into my own GitHub repo, also called Uncanny Eyes. And you can see the process here. If we go into this, and like I said, you need to be using Chrome. So let me open up Chrome. And I can go to this page, click Uncanny Eyes. I can connect to my device. So all you need is potentially the serial drivers if you don't have those. If you have any issues, you can ask me in the comments and I will try assist. And then I can install Uncanny Eyes from my web browser directly to the device. So you'll see now, it's busy erasing the device. It should start the upload shortly. And in a few moments, the device should be up and running again. So other than being a cool project that you can upload directly to your device, I'd like to show you the process that I used for moving this over, which hopefully isn't too involved. It uses Platform IO. My reason for using Platform IO is that anyone who grabs this repo will automatically install all the dependencies you need. So there you go. You can see the device is flashed from the web browser. It's up and running. If I check the logs, I'm getting 42 frames a second, 41 frames a second from that. And I can shut that down. So that's the demo. What it would take for you to upload, you can just go directly to this URL and upload. Moving back, it uses GitHack, which is quite a cool util. You can paste in a HTML file from your repo, and then it will actually present it as a HTML file in your browser. That is quite awesome because I don't have to host anything anywhere, and I can do the upload directly from my web browser, and it's all in the same repository. So if you clone this repo, you get all of this. So initially, this was the TTGO T-Display eyes that I downloaded, and you can see if I upload from here, it will go through the process of compiling. One of the major differences is that you always have to select what your device is, what the speeds are, how you want the partition set up, and all of that. And this will be different for every project you have. And any shared libraries like this TFT ESPI library, you'll have to do some setup inside of the actual library, which can be a bit of a pain. But once it's, because like if you've got 20 to 30 different projects, you constantly have to update these libraries, and I haven't found a way around that. So that's quite frustrating for me when I do these things. But yeah, you can see it's the same result. But that's not what we want to do. So I ported this to Platform IO. If we open up this copy here, the biggest things you need to go do is take whatever the .ino file is, which is usually named the exact same as the folder. So inside Mysterion's, you'll see there's TTGO T-Display eyes, and inside this, we can literally copy everything in this file into our main. I did get ahead of myself slightly, so this is using platform IO, and you'll see that I just created a blank project. I copied all the source from that root folder into the source folder in here. In the setup for platform IO, I chose a ESP32 with the Arduino framework. I imported the dependency for TFT ESPI. User setup loaded equals 1. So there's some build flags that we set, and this actually overrides it so that it will set up for this display without having to modify the library. The library automatically gets downloaded and installed. The framework for the board automatically gets downloaded and installed using PIO, so Platform IO. It is a very cool project that they've made, and it really does make it a lot easier to do these things. After that, I mentioned a couple things that it's doing when we build this project. So if I go through the build process, it will build this out. That is all done, all good. And if I go into the build folder, I can actually grab my framework binary. And the way that I've set this up is using ESP Web Tools, which allows you to do the uploads. I've got a firmware folder that's kind of got all the sort of defaults I use for most of my projects, which is the 2 meg with OTA, over the air uploads and things like that. I'm not using any of those fancy features, but it is easier to use the same sort of device setup. And then I've got the firmware that I copied out of the PIO folder into this firmware folder. And inside the index file, this is a pretty straightforward copy paste if you want to port anything over. It loads ESP Web Tools directly from Unpackage. And then I've just changed a few of the things, Uncanny Eyes installer, and there's a link to ESP Web Tools if you want to take a look. Here's a link to the repo, and inside the manifest it just calls all these files. I struggled with this initially, but over the course of my struggles I managed to get to the point where this is sort of the upload that I've found that works for me, and I'm just replacing the firmware bin. So outside of that, it's pretty much smooth sailing. So I didn't have to make any code changes. It was just setting up this blank platform IO project, copying the source from that root folder for the TTGO T-Display, copying the ino file into the main.cpp, setting up the git hack for that folder so that when I come to this URL, I can get that. And that's pretty much the sum of it. If you come to this repo, you're welcome to clone the code. You're welcome to do whatever you want with this, and I hope that someone uses this to actually start porting some of the cool libraries that I don't. There's a potential extension for this project. If people are keen, leave me a comment and I'll look at adding some of the other eye setups. Potentially this could be extended so that we could use the 2 buttons on the ESP32. It's got the button 1, button 2, could potentially switch through eyes using that. Otherwise I could also set up separate binaries for each of the uploads on the GitHack page. So this is Uncanny Eyes default. I could potentially have a whole bunch of firmwares that people could upload to the device, and that would be enabled by having each of the firmwares in here. I'd only really have to have this firmware bin for each of the different setups, and then outside of that there would be the manifest file that it uses, so one for each of the eyes that I want to set up, and then we would need to add some iteration in here to have the different manifests that we're going to point to over here. So from the radio value Uncanny, this would be Uncanny default, and then I could set up all the others, and each of these labels would then point to manifest underscore and then whatever that radio value was. So Uncanny default, Uncanny terminator, Uncanny Newt, Eye of Newt. That is awesome. And that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this quick demo and ride. If you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to give me a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. I hope you had some fun watching this. And yeah, see you on the next one. Cheers.